front and back. All right, so today we're going to finish these up today, and you got to hang in here with me, folks. Okay, it's March 13th, so date the top of that where we're starting. We got to first go over the altitude theorem, okay? Now, we already know that if an altitude is drawn within a right triangle, we have a total of how many similar right triangles? 3. We learned that yesterday. The altitude theorem is this. Okay, let's read through this together. You just read it to yourselves. It says the measure of an altitude drawn from the vertex of the right angle of a right triangle to its hypotenuse is the geometric mean between the measures of the two segments of the hypotenuse. Now, I don't know about you, but when I read that, I just kind of go, huh? Say what? So here's what I want you to think about. I want you to look at what you're given. Know that x is the altitude. Okay? If you are given or have to find that side, I want you to put the altitude on the diagonals. Okay? Trust me. And then I want you to look at it. Let's see if I can move it to the side. Okay. Then go back and read the problem. It said, what does the altitude split the hypotenuse into? If you were to think that altitude is like a machete and we're going, what? What's it cutting into? Y and Z, isn't it? Aren't those the two pieces that altitude is chopping through? All right, so we've got Y in one diagonal, Z in the other. Okay? Write this down. Altitude theorem, or you're going to have to write it down when you get home. Paper's over there. Go get it. Now, here this is what you're going to do. This is geometric mean, folks. You're going to have, what is the altitude, by the way? In the picture, what's the altitude? So we've got x over y is equal to z over x, right? Now, look at that. Mathematically, now we've got a proportion, and all you're going to do is cross multiply. What's x times x? X squared. What's y times z? YZ. And if I had to solve for x, then how would I do that? I would take the square root of x, and what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So that's going to give me that x is equal to the square root of the product of YZ. Hey, isn't that the same thing we did yesterday? Heck yes. That's finding the geometric mean of two numbers, right? So that's what we're going to look at is what we're given. Are we given altitude or are we given leg? You'll understand here how we're going to use this. Bear with me. All right, look at what we're given. The 4 is the what? It's the altitude. So the altitude means we're going to use the altitude theorem. That altitude splits that hypotenuse. Chop it in two. Chop it in two. The altitude goes on the diagonals. What is the altitude? 4. Well, you got 4 on the altitudes. What's been chopped? X and 2. Fill in the blank spots. How do you cross multiply this? No. Cross multiply. What's 4 times 4? 16. 2 times x is 2x. Divide both sides by 2. X is 8, right? Yeah. Do you see what we're doing? There's no catch. There really isn't. People get so caught up and they go, what in the world? But I'm telling you right now, if you look and go, all right, what am I given? Oh, okay, I'm given an altitude. Put the altitude in each diagonal. What does it chop through? Put those two numbers in each of those blank spots in your proportion. That's it. That's all you have to look at. Let's look at another one. What am I given? Am I given an altitude or a leg? I'm given the altitude. Chop it through the hypotenuse and put up here altitude theorem. If we're using the altitude theorem, then what goes on the diagonals? X and X. What does it chop through? 6 and 3. Hey, solve for X for me, please. And let's leave it in simplest radical form. What's X times X? 6 times 3. Now how do I solve for X? Square root of both sides, folks. What is it? 9 and 2. What's the square root of 9? Where does it go? What about the 2? Stays in the house. How many of you had 3 root 2? Rock on. High five, y'all. Very good. Very, very good. Hey, let's look at another one. Ooh! Look at here, Cody. Look at this. My suggestion is just draw. And look, this is what you'll see on the SOL. These types of word problems, okay? To estimate the height of a Douglas fir, Jan positions herself so that her lines of sight to the top and bottom of the tree form a 90-degree angle. Her eyes are about 1.6 meters above the ground, and she is standing 7.8 meters from the tree. What is the height of the tree to the nearest meter? All right, now hold up. Let's think about it. The height of the tree, this is what we want in the end, right? That's what we're looking for. I got a portion of it right here that's 1.6. We got to find the other piece, which is right here. Well, can I just say that it's X? All right. We got to find our first X. Okay. This is a multi-step problem. First, now let's look at it again. Don't pay any attention to the tree. Pay attention to the X, the 1.6, and the 7.8. Are we given the altitude? Yes. Okay, so altitude theorem. What is the altitude? All right, so 7.8 goes on the diagonals. You guys cool with that? What does that altitude split? X and 1.6. Now, you got to blow your calculator up for me, okay? I know it's going to be 1.6x is equal to 6484. 60 point. Okay. Thank you. Now what? Now I'll divide by 1.6. How much is it? 38.025. And it said to the nearest meter. To the nearest meter. What's it going to be? This 0 is going to do what to the 8? Absolutely nothing. So it's approximately 38 meters. Now, what is 38 meters? The X. We've still got to find the whole height of the tree. Second step. 38 plus 1.6 is 39.6, which is approximately 40 meters. That's our answer. Do you agree? Does this make sense? Why? Why do you have to add it? Say it again, Summer. You got to find all of the tree. When we find X, all we're finding are the leaves, the height of all the piece of the tree that has the leaves. The tree, the bark is alone, the trunk, I guess, is just 1.6 meters. We got to find out when you take that little piece plus what we just found, that's the whole height of the tree. Okay? Those are the things that you've got to pay very close attention to, folks. I'm going to tell you, you will be Wonderful, and you will blow it up. Look at this problem. Same thing, maybe. What's the height of the cliff to the nearest foot? What are we looking for? The whole thing. The whole thing. Folks, you need to tune in. I'm going to give you 1 minute. All right, here we go. I know that one little piece up here at the top is going to be my x. Am I given the altitude? What goes on the diagonals? 28 goes on the diagonals. What's in the empty spots? 5.5. Let's cross multiply. 5.5x is equal to 784 divided by 5.5. Is that what you got? 142.54? Hey, that's my answer, right? No, what do I have to do? I got to add who? 5.5, 147.8, 148.04. I added. 784 divided by 5.5 is equal to 142.54. Correct? Is that right?
But when I multiply 28 and 5.5,
to the nearest foot. All right, so you did this. You went 143 plus 6, 149. All right, you know what? That's such a, I mean, I would have counted. If you would have figured it out exactly, I would have counted it right. If you would have done exact, see, and we got to be real careful about that. Either one of those would have been correct.
I went 28 times 5.5.
No. No, because x times 5.5 is equal to 28 divided by, aha. Your diagonals go on the, your altitude goes on the diagonals, on a diagonal. What you chop through goes in the empty spots. Yes. Okay. Fix it. You don't want it wrong. Okay. Hey, what's next? Yes. No, doesn't matter. That's a good question. Very good question. Do you have another page? No? All right, so here's what you're going to do for me. Because you've got to understand what to do here, folks. All right, so when you look at 521, 18 through 22, that's finding your geometric mean of the two numbers, just like you did yesterday. And then number 25, I want you to find x only. Ignore y and z. You don't have to figure out those. Just ignore them. Just find x. All right, your altitude is x. Put that on your diagonals. I appreciate your attention. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Number 26, you're finding z only. So you're going to have the altitude, which is 9.6. What does it chop through? Z and 12.8. That's all you need to know to set up those proportions. You should be fine. Folks, you're on your own on this. I suggest you use your time wisely. And if you don't have a book, I can find a book for you because you will work. You will not sit there